Okay, so I know right now there is a big crisis about the Ebola outbreak right now, especially how the media is trying to scare us and putting thoughts in our head like it's going to be the death of us all, and how the unavailability of a vaccine only makes it sound a little more scary. Well, all that fuss and that terror is just basically over exaggerated nonsense. It's not really Ebola that's being spread in this country. What is spreading, though, is the fear and anxiety of it. Now, we're probably all a little guilty about being a little paranoid about this. Like, for instance, if like one of my friends cough, I'll just start getting a little worried, be like, "Whew, damn, you okay, man?" So it's those worries that I want to clear up today, and I want to say that we're all just a bit overreacting to this outbreak. Now, don't get me wrong, Ebola is something to be cautious about, but 5 out of 300 million Americans that are infected, only 5, that's not even 1% of the population, and we're already freaking out about that. But, I want to start off by explaining the symptoms of Ebola. Now, symptoms include fever, severe headaches, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, fatigue, and loss of appetite. But it's kind of hard to diagnose Ebola officially because all those diseases are very common in hundreds and hundreds of other diseases and viruses. Like fever and vomiting, that's just not specific to Ebola. That's found in like malaria or like the typhoid virus, so that's why it's pretty tricky to officially diagnose someone with Ebola. Now, recovery from it depends on the person's immune system and the amount of clinical care that they receive. But ironically, something beneficial can come from it. Once you get the virus, you can develop a stronger immune system. You'll develop antibodies for the next 10 years, and that'll protect you from a similar infection, or exactly Ebola, kind of like the chickenpox virus. If any of you guys have had chickenpox in the past, what happens is you developed an immunity for the next 10 years. So just like Ebola, it won't, you have a dramatic chance of not contracting the same virus again. So now that the symptoms have been talked about, I'll go through the spreading of the virus. Now, people believe that Ebola is airborne, or Ebola can be obtained from drinking infected water or eating diseased crops. But all those beliefs are just flat out wrong. Ebola, however, does spread via person-to-person contact, especially with their fluids, like if you come into contact with someone's blood or their sweat, or even a mother breastfeeding her child. Those are very common ways to transmit the virus. Another common way is sharing syringes and needles. But in lighter news, scientists just found out that insects, especially mosquitoes, do not have the ability to spread the virus like West Nile virus. They can't do that. The only ones that can spread the virus are us mammals, like humans, apes, monkeys, and bats. So interacting with any of those animals or another human, you do have a possibility of contracting the virus. So talking about the spreading and symptoms, I want to get to the point where you guys shouldn't be very fearful over this virus. Like I said, only 5 out of 300 million Americans have been infected, and only 1 has died, and that was basically the first guy because treatment came a little too late. But in Western Africa, where it originated, we've heard that thousands have died already, but their medical care isn't as sophisticated as it is here in the United States. and the World Health Organization is clearly monitoring this. Those are the guys in those spacesuits that you guys see on the news, kind of like, have you seen that movie E.T.? Those are basically those guys. Yeah. So their isolation treatment, they have an 80% rate of having the patient survive. So that's a pretty high rate of survivability despite not having a vaccine. And with this, I found a pretty funny YouTube clip that I wanted to share with you guys. It's about an English comic named Russell Howard about the media telling us about Ebola in America compared to other countries in Europe. So, let me get this started. Oh, I need to go up. Oh, guys.
The volume knob on the controller.
No, it was on mute.
Well, there's been one story dominating the news, Ebola. Now, here is how it was covered in Britain.
Ebola cases in West Africa approach 9,000. Hundreds of British troops are being sent to West Africa.
A small number of cases will reach the UK.
We can contain it.
Britain is at the forefront of preventing the spread.
A message for the public, don't worry. Calm, measured. In America, not so much.
Doctors alert now the Ebola emergency here in America. The killer virus
Spreading much faster than efforts to contain it. Spiraling out of control.
Stop admitting West Africans into America right now. Can they go to the movies?
Hospitals aren't ready for Ebola.
Hell is about to break loose.
The media have worked the American people into such a frenzy. Some of them have taken to the streets. I mean, look at this guy. I love him, but I'm not sure he understands how Ebola spreads. I can't go to nobody's house and have some dinner at their house. Somebody might scratch their ass. Got Ebola, I put some Ebola ass in this.
Okay, so moving on from spaghetti and asses, I just want to wrap this up by saying you guys should not be overreacting to this, what the media is putting into your head. I mean, all those infections, I mean, all those 5 people, they're basically all on the other side of the country in the eastern United States. I mean, why are we freaking out over something that's not even in California yet, seriously? But all that anxiety and fear, what you feel right now, that should be placed in something else, you know, like the flu. So you guys stay healthy, and that's Ebola. Thank you.
All right, Chris, I like the reference to the current topic. You've got a good theme talking about how we've got an exaggerated reaction to it and the fear and anxiety. I do think that there's not really much of a preview, and even though in the body of the speech I can pick out an organizational structure, it would have been helpful to have that at the beginning to help me pay attention to those sorts of things. The content is fine for the most part. It's pretty basic stuff, and there's only a couple of places where you provide as much source citation. So, you know, it's satisfactory. You meet the requirements there. You're doing okay there. Like I said, a little limited on the preview. On the visual elements of your delivery, I think that you have a pretty solid posture for the most of the time. I mean, you plant your feet. You're standing in the one spot. You do sometimes kind of lean around and rock back and forth, but you're not pacing per se, and it seems more like you're just kind of engaged when you're talking. But you might want to subdue that just a little bit. It's not a big problem, but it's something to watch out for. I thought your gestures 90% of the time were engaging and involving, and they pull us into the speech. There were a couple of times when you get your hands on your hips and you look like I'm not sure what I'm saying next, and maybe it's a little defiant, and that just seemed uncertainty as opposed to polish. Your eye contact, you have a tendency, I think, you're talking in front of us, like I've said before. You do look up, and I do think you make eye contact with people on a regular basis, but there are a lot of times when it's kind of like I'm looking at you, and you are basically thinking out loud too in front of us, and we're watching you, and your eyes are a little downcast and that sort of thing, and you want to be engaged much more consistently. So it wasn't a big problem, because I do think you look up, but talk to us a little bit. I'm glad that people aren't staring down at the ground or looking up at the sky that much. Most of you are looking up, but it is one of those things where when you're talking to people, you don't really kind of talk to them this way with your eyes looking. You talk to them face to face, and so you need to do a little bit more of that. Volume was fine, pitch was good. I didn't see anything that was problematic. Like I said, and I saw several things that were very good. All right, thank you.